What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Another Thursday, another episode of Simply Sessions. Hope you're all having a good week. Unfortunately, it's all over. Pack it in. Bull run's done forever. This is definitely not just simply a dip. It's all over. I don't know what to tell you. Just end the stream. That's it. Bitcoin is dead. No, clearly not, obviously. But if you were to look at the sentiment, imagine going back to even earlier this year. Like, I'm not talking going back a cycle, and imagine going back to like summer and then having people freaking out and feeling sad and getting salty because we're just a snippet below 100K. Yeah. Anyways, we have Nico waiting in the wings to bring us the latest and greatest in all of the ongoings in and around Bitcoin. So we'll be bringing him in momentarily. This is live. Anything can happen. So I defer to my friend Bill here.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing so.
If you haven't not already, please do like, sub, share, all those things. They help a ton getting this content in front of more eyeballs. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your Simply Session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
Before we bring in Nico, let's take a look at where we are in the market right now. I'm pulling up timechaincalendar.com, and we are currently sitting at 97,657. Woe is me dollars per coin. A single US dollar will snag you a little bit more on the positive side. 1,024 sats. Stack them while you can. In terms of fees, next block, 8 sats per VByte. And in terms of Bitcoin mined, we're sitting at 19.79 million. That is 94.27% of the total supply. We're going to give a quick shout out to sponsors of the show. We'll be back in just a moment to get rolling with Nico. Bitcoin Well is one of the best places to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with the advent of Bitcoin Well Infinite, high net worth individuals can enjoy an OTC desk with white glove experience tailored to transactions of $50,000 or more. This helps high net worth individuals, family offices, businesses, and trusts secure the best prices and execute large transactions with speed and efficiency. You can expect personalized service, rapid fulfillment, no slippage, custom trade structures, risk management guidance, and global buy and sell capabilities. And hey, if you're not a high net worth individual, not to worry, you can still benefit. If you sign up and you refer people through your personalized link, any fees paid on their first purchases will earn you 21% of those fees. So you can check them out today. There's a link down below to sign up, or you can simply scan the QR code on the screen. Bitcoin Well, check them out today. CoinKite.com has some of the best hardware on the market today to secure your Bitcoin. The Cold Card Q is an absolute powerhouse and is my daily driver. And on top of this, they have plenty of other goodies, including the Mark IV, the Tap Signer, Open Dimes, the Block Clock, and much more. If you head over to their website, make sure you use code BTC Sessions at checkout to get a nice discount. Links are in the show notes down below. We are back in, and I want to bring in my co-host with the most. Yo, buddy, how you doing?
Yo, what's up, dude? I'm super stoked. Yeah, man. Got one more show for the week. I think it's going to be your Christmas special tomorrow. Have someone filling in for me tomorrow, so I get to take the morning off. But I've been playing pickleball. Have you ever played pickleball?
I've not. But it's all the rage. All the cool kids are playing pickleball.
It is so much fun. It's like a lazy version of tennis.
That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds nice.
So
I would
I'm gonna
be
be
bad.
playing. I'm gonna be pickling it out tomorrow. That sounded wrong, but I'm gonna be playing pickleball hardcore tomorrow.
Nice.
And excited to see you in 10 days and somewhere. You're gonna be
Yeah.
coming to my side of town.
I will be myself and Mrs. Sessions may be in your neck of the woods in about 12 days.
I'm excited. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, bro, Bitcoin roller coaster don't stop. So much Bitcoin news, and here's the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Matt Odell, talking to Jack Ballers, some people call him. But first, before I get to that, I think I want to talk about this because this is exciting. We're going to start off the episode strong, which is, we all know this as Bitcoiners. We've seen this meme. One, here, there, someone in the chat, tennis for people with bad knees. That's hilarious. And no, my knees are shot, bro. Pickleball is intense. Okay. Anyways, back to the Bitcoin content. So, look, the reason I want to pull this up is, Bitcoin is Ben said in the beginning of the show, Bitcoin is dead. It's over. Pack it up. Bitcoin's going to zero. We dropped from 108 to, I think we hit like 94 or 93. So it's over. Just go back home. Call it quits. It's done.
We were all wrong about Bitcoin.
Yeah, we were all wrong. Ben and I's careers and what we've built, it was all for nothing. Yeah. And Ben and I have both come to a shared decision. He's going to rename his channel to Fiat Sessions and mine simply Fiat.
I'm bullish on eternal servitude.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We have, Christine Lagarde coming on the show, Augustin Carson's as guest. It's going to be phenomenal. Anyways, in all seriousness, bad dad jokes all out of the way. Let's talk about this. Wall Street cheat sheet, the psychology of a market cycle. And I think we are going through a market cycle like every other time in Bitcoin's history. And I think it's important to remember that it's all psychology, right? And what I will say is, I don't think we're anywhere near the euphoria phase. The euphoria phase is a point, and if you're new to Bitcoin and you haven't experienced it, but you will very soon, is a point where you think you're on cloud nine, you're looking at your portfolio and you're like, wow, this is the wealthiest I've ever been. You think you're a genius. And then before you know it, 1 or 2 months later, Bitcoin starts this like year-long crash of 50, 60, 70, sometimes 80 and 90% in its history. So I think it's important to like kind of internalize this, right? And I don't know, where are we in the psychology of the market cycle? Are we at the disbelief, hope, optimism, belief, thrill, or euphoria stage? I don't know. Let us know in the comments. But the reason I wanted to talk about that is Jack Mallers, which has some insights into obviously exchange flows that not many people have because, he's the CEO of Strike. Strike's one of the most popular, Bitcoin on-ramps and whatnot. And, he has insights to this data. And what's really interesting is if you connect the dots with one of the other shows that he did, where he went on the Timcast podcast by Tim Pool. And I think he said something that he shouldn't have regarding insider information about what the Trump administration is going to do in regard to the Bitcoin strategic reserve on day one via executive order. And again, here's Mallers sharing some insights about, who's buying all this Bitcoin. And Odell has some really good points as well. So let's check it out.
So they're having fun. They're having fun gapping them over weekends.
No,
right? Like
man, this is not.
You don't think so?
No, this is not odd lot retail traders. Listen, guys, and when people like Peter Schiff says, Bitcoin's a Ponzi, Saylor's just buying and pushing it to new highs, and everyone's agreed not to sell. No,
So then why are they buying on weekends?
There's just persistent bid under this thing. Someone has mandated an order.
So they're buying it all week, but the float is less on weekends inherently because other traditional markets are closed. So the price tends to run up more during the weekends, even though it's just a consistent bid.
Yeah, well, and just look at the numbers. When people say
That makes sense to me.
Saylor's the only buyer, no. This thing's
That's
doing
bullshit.
60 to 100 billion dollars of 24-hour volume. Saylor's 1 billion of that. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
And this does not look like, if you want to move a $2 trillion asset, I know we're not gold yet, but we're as big as we're as big as Amazon, Google. You know, do you think Odd Lot Retail would move those things on the weekend? No. You got to have muscle to move this thing. And especially on a Sunday night like that. And it's not just a one-off, because I would agree with you, Matt, if it was like, you know, one leverage liquidation on an exchange that pushed it on a Sunday night. But weekend activity has been fairly consistent. If you guys remember, like the first thrust to and over 100K were also on US nighttime. It's either US nighttime or weekends. That is US banking hours closed. That is someone who's probably wired a ton of money to an order execution, and that's being averaged in, and sometimes liquidity gets dry. I don't know. It looks to me very unique. And anyway,
But so like, let's use this most recent weekend as an example, right? Because to me this is fascinating, right? That historically global markets close. They're closed as more than they're open. It feels like they're closed more than they're open. They're closed all night. Their trading hours are very tight, and then they're closed on weekends, right? And part of like the whole process and traditions and whatnot of traditional global markets is, for example, the NASDAQ 100, like QQQ and whatnot, like announced MicroStrategy close a business day Friday. Presumably they do that, traditionally speaking, so that it has the least market effect possible. So they announce that, and then markets are closed for 48 hours, right? Almost nearly, like more than that, right? It's like 50 hours or something. And we go up like $7,000. We go up almost 10%. We go up like 7-8%. By the time markets open again. We've never seen anything like that. How about the election when Trump won? Bitcoin just starts running, right?
No,
like Bitcoin called the election before CNN called the election. But Bitcoin was the only thing you could trade. Like you couldn't buy Apple stock. Like if you were bullish on Apple stock, you were bullish on like equities because of Trump winning, you just couldn't buy it. Like you could only buy Bitcoin. So to me, it's fascinating seeing Bitcoin become this macro asset. And it's the only thing that's actually 24/7, 365, liquid, saleable.
Okay, so much things to unpack there, but the two things that I wanted to talk about, hold on, let me have this playing in the background while Ben and I talk. So the two things that I want to talk about, Ben, two things that really caught my attention, and I want to get your thoughts. So first thing is, who is this mysterious figure that's buying the rest of that Bitcoin? Who is that? So Saylor is buying the 1 billion. Who's buying the rest? We don't know. And number two, I love what Odell said in the end, where, you know, Bitcoin is the only thing that is trading 24/7. They can't manipulate it. They can't stop it. It doesn't have the circuit breakers that, you know, the stock market has, and it just keeps going. And I find that so fascinating, empowering. And then if you connect that with what Jeff Booth thinks, and I love his takes, where he basically is making the argument that Bitcoin is the only thing that properly reflects, you know, markets around the world. And it does that not only by, if you're saving in Bitcoin, you're actually experiencing what the world should be experiencing, which is the world should be naturally deflationary because of the increases in productivity. Oh, hey there, man.
You got a visitor. Continue.
The increases in productivity, and of course the increases in hey man, how you doing, little man? Anyways, Ben, what are your thoughts on this, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been fascinated listening to. He's like, I want to be part of the show now. This is what happens when Mummy leaves and does other things while I'm doing a show. So here we go. That's all right. It's bullish because it's another little Bitcoiner. Yes, I see that.
Man,
So
he's following in your footsteps.
he is. He wants to be a star. But I've always been fascinated, like when Bitcoin runs at certain times, especially over a set period of time, because it indicates, where some of these people. I remember in the 2017 run, there was a lot of like evening, like when China was waking up, there would be these runs, and so it's very interesting watching weekends, big moves on weekends and big moves in the evenings. But my favorite part about that is if you're relying on ETFs for your Bitcoin exposure and you want to smash buy, you can't smash buy when it's running on an evening or a weekend, which to me is like, you get the real thing, guys.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it's I mean, and then not only that, right? If Bitcoin dumps over the weekend, like you can't get out of that ETF or you can't buy more to that ETF. You can only do it with the spot, right? So I think that's absolutely true. Anyways, moving on, I think there is this really fascinating to me talking about the shift of the Overton window. There's a politician coming out of France. And she had some things to say at the European Parliament. It's crazy is coming out of Europe. So I'll play the clip and then we'll talk about it.
3 years ago, across the Atlantic, the president of El Salvador decided to invest in Bitcoins for his country. At the time, he was ridiculed by the political class and the IMF. He now shows a 100% return, with hundreds of millions of dollars available for his people, for security, and for the sovereignty of his country. The whole world is now getting ready to take advantage of this revolution in decentralized finance. Donald Trump is going to create a strategic reserve of Bitcoin for the United States. Jerome Powell, the chairman of the US Federal Reserve, is now talking about digital gold. Bitcoin is skyrocketing. And what about the European Union? What is the European Union doing? It's squandering our money on unbelievable waste. It continues to accumulate tragically inflationary deficits. It insists on regulating, taxing, and holding back. It's time to change the paradigm. It's time to protect our people from inflation and the poor economic choices of our states. It's time to say no to the totalitarian temptations of the European Central Bank, which wants to impose a fully controlled digital euro. We don't want this dystopian world where a European bureaucrat could tomorrow ban us from certain transactions and even kick us out of the banking system with a click, just for something we said on social media or for an opinion that doesn't sit well. It's time to bet on freedom. It's time for our states to invest in Bitcoin to build national strategic reserves. It's time to develop the mining industry. We, the French, hold the cards with our nuclear advantage. Let's stop taxing cryptocurrency holders more and more. It's their intelligence, their risks, their sleepless nights that have built their savings. Let's allow them to protect themselves from the crazy spiral you've created. Public deficit that drives money creation, which creates inflation, leading to chaos. Let's dare to be free. Let's stop being afraid of our own shadow. Let's stay true to the ambition of our civilization. Thank you.
So good use of AI for the translation, right? Talk about the shift in the Overton window, man. Like, especially out of Europe. Europe has been one of the toughest from a regulatory perspective for a long time now. So, it's interesting, man. It's interesting what this election has done in the United States. All these dominoes falling worldwide, whether it's Russia, Brazil, China, on the state level here in the U.S. This is crazy. This is crazy.
I love this so much, and I see in the comments that like, why does your voice sound weird? It is an AI translation from French to English. I've used this to do translations of me to other languages. So that's why it sounds like a little bit odd. It will sync your lips to a degree, but it'll look a little funky. So, but it is not fake. Her own Twitter account has reposted this video with the translation and everything. So, so what I love about this is just the vernacular that she's using, like referring to the European Central Bank as totalitarian, referring to the exorbitant waste that the state is extracting wealth and just blowing the money on things that are just completely useless, and taking back control. And wow, like to see this in European Parliament. And she makes a good point as well, where France does have an advantage with nuclear. Right now, France is getting hosed on their nuclear. I think they have enough capacity for 70%. It's like the high double-digit percentages to power like their entire grid. But they get this stupid deal where they have to export a certain amount of that energy, and then they have to bring in less energy from elsewhere in less efficient means. So they just get hosed on their own efficient grid. But if they were to hone in on that and say, listen, we've got these nuclear power plants, we've got excess, why don't we just mine with the excess? Then they know what's up. Then they're going to be what's the Bhutan, using efficient energy sources to mine and stockpile Bitcoin. They're in a very unique position in terms of energy. And she seems to have honed in on that. So yeah, I love to see it. I think it's super cool. Yeah, that's what I got there.
Absolutely. 100. I love you can do so much, right, Ben? I think that's the point that I really like that you said, right? It adds a different element to what you can do with your energy grid, right? It adds another, I don't know what the correct term is, another level, another element, another option. I'll leave it at that. All right, everybody. So moving on. Got this clip from BTC Therapist, great Twitter account from the Bitcoin community. Huge fan of his. And here is Michael Saylor saying the quiet part out loud. I mean, it's so obvious. I mean, I would say. And also, I got to say, too, about Saylor. Saylor's gone through this transformation, right? So, initially, you would always see him with a black shirt and a black suit, and he was always dressed well. And now that he's vindicated, not only is he wearing Bitcoin merch, but he also has a Bitcoin P in the back, which I think is hilarious. Let's check out the clip.
And the first nation to print money, the first nation to print their own currency to buy Bitcoin wins. Right? Tom, look what MicroStrategy did. We basically issue our own currency, our stock, and we buy Bitcoin. What happened? We went $1 billion market cap is what happened. Is it inflation? It's only inflation if you print the currency to invest it, to make a bad investment, right? If you print the currency to buy something that's appreciating faster than your inflation rate, it's actually accretion. And the first nation to print money, so
it's looping, but you get the point, right? You get the point that he's saying, right? And I think it's absolutely true. His company is basically, whether he's aware of it or not, is doing this speculative attack on the dollar, using the system itself to, take advantage of the debt-based system to issue more debt, to buy more Bitcoin, raises the price of his stock. Then he just rinses and repeats it and rinses and repeats it and rinses and repeats it. Could you imagine the scale? Because what Saylor is doing, what the Fed would do, what the Fed would put what Saylor is doing to shame. Going in there, turning on the money printer, and all of this printed money just flowing into Bitcoin. That would be absolutely freaking bonkers and insane. So, oh my God. I was going to say Opti. Ben, what do you
it's gonna be really
stop.
It's gonna be really confusing when we have a show together with
God.
Opti, Nathan. Ben. Yeah.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
That quote, if you can scroll up a little bit,
Sure.
the quote that Therapist did, the first nation to print their own currency to buy Bitcoin wins. That there's so much packed into that little statement, because again, like this is the exorbitant privilege of those that control the money printer. They basically have a moment where they get to realize, like, hey, we fucked up. Our currency, we took it too far, as inevitably would happen. But we have an opportunity to basically bail ourselves out and obtain some hard assets in like just an extinction level amount of printing. So there's that, but there's also the aspect of, okay, so we have a bit of a sell-off right now, right? We're below 100K. People that are selling their Bitcoin to cash in are selling their Bitcoin for exactly what he's saying there. At one point, a nation state, and probably at one point the US, will be, at least in part, printing money to purchase Bitcoin. And you have just sold that Bitcoin to buy some of the money that can be printed and that will be printed to obtain the very asset you just rid yourself of. And that people will look back on that and say, why did I get rid of this finite, like, the soundest money the world has ever seen? Why would I have dumped that for 100,000 of these useless denominations? And they're just printing them in an inexhaustible supply of printed dollars to purchase a very, very finite amount of Bitcoin. It's going to be, people will look back at this moment and be like, oh my God, what on earth was I thinking?
Yeah, it was so short-sighted. It was so short-sighted that they do that. Like, I mean, Germany, wow. And any country that just sells their Bitcoin, and it's so like it's dumb. It's dumb. I'm putting it very nicely. Ben's Canadianness is rubbing off on me.
I love that in the chat. How much Bitcoin can you really buy with the Vietnamese dong? Probably not much. It is indeed called the dong. When I backpacked through Vietnam, it was funny having a pocket full of dongs. That's
this is the Touch the Tip show, bro. So many dongs, tips.
I held many dongs in my hand while in Vietnam.
There's a clip of Max and Stacy like bumping dicks. Oh man, remember that?
Keep it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think I gotta pull. I gotta figuratively pull that one out again. That clip from last Christmas show was something else.
That was interesting. All right, so moving on. Big news again, kind of a continuation of the trend. I'm going to connect this with all the other pieces. So Texas House introduces bill to establish a Bitcoin reserve. Pennsylvania lawmaker introduces bill for strategic Bitcoin reserve. And the latest breaking news is actually dropped yesterday. Ohio lawmaker introduces Bitcoin reserve bill allowing states to buy BTC. That's 3 states right now out of the 50 that have introduced bills to make Bitcoin a strategic reserve asset. And also, what I was mentioning in the beginning of the show, the Jack Mahler's one on the Tim Cass and Tim Pool podcast, and it seemed like he said something that was like NDA he shouldn't have said. But essentially, TLDR, he was basically saying like, look, Trump on day one is going to sign an executive order making Bitcoin a strategic reserve. And I mean, that would make the price go like bananas, right? So yeah, I mean, this is interesting. So, but Ben, do you have any comments on this?
I mean, the crazy thing is you have all these bills to make strategic reserves. We also have Vancouver, Canada, the city.
That's right.
Proposed. They're starting to look. But the main takeaway is there's so many places that are saying like, look at what MicroStrategy did. We should probably look at this. And not all of them are going to end up happening, at least initially. But even if some of them start happening, that's going to be more examples of the proof is in the pudding you're going to just jump forward a cycle, look at how they have just completely obliterated everyone else who decided to hold off and how far ahead they're going to be at that point, that it becomes a no-brainer inside of another cycle. So like it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's going to be wild. And, that's right. I forgot about Vancouver, man. Like, this is a worldwide phenomenon where this is happening. And, it's quite interesting, right? Hopefully it comes to Florida.
A little nugget here, by the way.
Go for it.
I just got off the phone with the mayor of Vancouver earlier today.
Oh, look at flexing.
He's going to come on the show at some point. Yeah. So
did I not tell you that you were going to get a president or senator or something, starting with the mayor? That's good.
I
stuff.
got to work my way up the stack. We got to, we'll get a, if I could stack a mayor, a premier of a province, and a potentially incoming prime minister of Canada, that could be great. So Danielle Smith of Alberta and Pierre Poilievre, hit me up. Let's do a show all together.
Hell yeah. I think I might, breaking by the way, I think I might get a senator in January.
Nice.
So yeah, man, it's quite interesting, huh? All this stuff happening. All right. Ben and I we're getting entrenched. We're becoming the people we're fighting against. Okay. Anyways, so moving on. I think this is like the most notable news of the week, in my honest opinion, which is okay. No BS Bitcoin, like they're not funded by sponsors. They're a Bitcoin publication. So, and I rely on them a lot to do a lot of the news aggregation that I do. And when they put this as a headline, I don't like, they're not effing around, right? So the headline for the audio listeners is El Salvador to scale back Bitcoin policies for $1.5 billion IMF loan deal. Now there's nuances, there's details, but that statement is true. And I'll read you some of the kind of quotes and details of the article. Now, it's not like, oh my God, they're backing down from legal tender or any of this, very important things. But for a couple of reasons. The IMF still holds a lot of influence, right? Observation number 2, why does the IMF care so much about Bitcoin policies, right? I think that should tell you everything you need to know. So kind of scrolling down, quote, the Salvadorian authorities and a staff team from the IMF have reached staff level agreement on a 40-month extended agreement under the extended fund facility for about $1.4 billion to address balance of payment needs and support the government's economic reforms. The second one, the IMF's executive board needs to endorse the agreement in early February of 2025, and its financialization depends on completing the previously agreed upon actions. Number 3, the potential risks of the Bitcoin project will be diminished significantly in line with fund policies. Legal reforms will make acceptance of Bitcoin by the private sector voluntary. For the public sector, engagement in Bitcoin-related economic activities and transactions in and purchases of Bitcoin will be confined. Like, that's a strong statement. What do you mean confined? What does that mean, right? The program is expected to stimulate additional financial support from the World Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, and other regional development banks, including the Central American Bank for Economic Integration and the Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean. Together, these institutions are projected to provide a combined financing package exceeding $3.5 billion over the duration of the program. It continues to say taxes will only be paid in US dollars, and the government's participation in the crypto e-wallet Chivo will be gradually unwound. Trent, that's right. Part of the deal was for essentially Chivo being sold to a private entity, or just shut down altogether. That's nuts. Transparency, regulation, and supervision of digital assets will be enhanced to safeguard financial stability, consumer and investor protection, and financial integrity. Here's Max Kaiser responding to it. Max Kaiser and Stacy Herbert are obviously part of the Bitcoin office of El Salvador, and they've really been kind of on the forefront of a lot of the efforts coming out of El Salvador. This is Max Kaiser's response to this news. Starts with, Bitcoin use in El Salvador was always voluntary, and its usage has never been higher and continues to grow. The IMF's point is DOA. Chivo is one of dozens of wallets used in El Salvador. Its presence or non-presence is meaningless. Again, DOA. Pay taxes in USD? Yes, whatever, dude. Saving rates in Bitcoin and using Bitcoin as collateral to buy property is exploding in El Salvador. El Salvador's success is due to Bitcoin, not the failed policies of the IMF. Salvadorians will never go back to IMF-sponsored MS-13 colonial United Fruit Company president assassinating banana massacre BS. Not on my watch. Bring it. His wife, Stacey Herbert, went on to explain it more and more details about the intricacies of the deal. Bitcoin remains legal tender. That's not something that this article mentioned, which I find interesting. It goes on to say El Salvador will continue buying Bitcoin. Again, that was not mentioned, right? Which I find interesting. And of course, they continue to stack 1 Bitcoin a day. They have their address public. Anyone could verify that they're doing this. And they've been doing this since 16K Bitcoin. Nayib Bukele, absolute Chad there. Point number 3, Bitcoin capital markets will continue to be built. Point number 4, the Bitcoin office will continue building Bitcoin policy and roadmaps, attracting investors and building education programs, including the new grades 2 and 3 Little Hodler Bitcoin and Money workbooks for January 2025. Point number 5, Kubo Plus continues educating elite Bitcoin and Lightning devs talent in El Salvador. Point number 6, Mi Primer Bitcoin and Node Nation continue being taught in high schools across El Salvador. Point number 7, I think, ESIAP continues with its Bitcoin certification program of 80,000 civil servants. And point number 8, Chivo wallet will be sold or unwound, but the many private sector Bitcoin wallets will continue serving El Salvador. And this is just the beginning. So, yeah, I mean, I'll end it with that, and then I'll just open it to conversations with Ben. Ben, shout out to Stacey for, filling in the gaps. And I think it's important to note that El Salvador, it's Bitcoin still legal tender in El Salvador, number 1. Number 2, they're going to continue buying Bitcoin. So it seems like there was some negotiations with the IMF. It seems like El Salvador did not completely give in to all of the IMF's demands. And because those 2 things remain the most important, in my humble opinion, which is Bitcoin remaining legal tender, which creates a beachhead for us. Also, I think it's a good thing that it's voluntary, right? We don't need some special help from the government, right? Bitcoin doesn't need that. And number 2, the fact that they continue buying Bitcoin is going to set an example for the rest of the world. So those 2 things had to remain in law, and they did. So it seems like there were some backroom negotiations, but as strongly worded as that IMF statement was that I read in the beginning about this is going to be contained and we're going to make this go away, like the boogeyman. I think the fact that they couldn't get rid of those 2 things, makes their efforts mute. And then El Salvador just, basically says, all right, I'll take your money. And here's one last thing. This is speculation territory, but I'm going to say it anyways. What if Nayib Bukele just turns around and uses that money to buy Bitcoin?
That would be great. I would love for him to accumulate a bunch of dollars from the IMF and the World Bank, and then just be like, "Fuck you guys!" Just stack.
It's just flicking people off,
$3.5 billion worth. Now, I don't think that he's gonna. I mean, who knows? Maybe he might do something like that. So yeah. A few things. Chivo wallet always sucked. Anybody who knew anything about Bitcoin in El Salvador was not using it.
Can I ask you something before you continue? Did you ever do a tutorial on Chivo?
No.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. No, I got it when I was, I tried it when I was down there, and I saw people using it, and I was like, it wasn't well designed. Like it doesn't default to Lightning, and people are doing small transactions there. So somebody would hit receive, and I'd go to scan it, and it would be like a regular on-chain address, and I was like, well, and I'm buying an 80-cent like juice box or something. And I'm like, and the people there that are doing it for the first time or like are brand new, they have no idea. They don't know they're going to get this tiny UTXO that they'll never be able to move again. And so it just wasn't that great. And even the Lightning transactions within Chivo were slow to receive and like actually notice. So like Blink is doing a really good job down there. There's lots of other options down there for people. A lot of people are using Blink in El Salvador and a few others. Now, in terms of some of the other things, I mean, the optionality, it's Max is right. It's always been optional. Like, I mean, not maybe in writing, but in practice, it was optional because you go to Bitcoin Beach, you can pay Bitcoin for anything anywhere other than like maybe one or two, like a few little places. You go to San Salvador, it's a bit of a hodgepodge. You can absolutely live on Bitcoin in San Salvador, but you would need to know like, oh, when I'm shopping for this, I'm going to go here because they accept Bitcoin. And there's going to be a lot of shops that just haven't adopted it. And then you go to other parts of the country and it's going to be pretty sparse if you can find somebody, because you can't snap your fingers and have an entire country of 6 or 7 million people suddenly all be on Bitcoin, even like over the course of a number of years. That's a hard thing to do. And it's just, again, like I'm of the mind that it should be a voluntary thing. That said, the stuff, like the same thing that you were like, what does constrained mean? Like, I don't know specifics of what that looks like, or if they just used that language to outline what was said here, or if there's more other things in it. I just, in general, especially after reading Alex Gladstein's Hidden Repression, the amount of disdain that I have for the IMF and the World Bank is just insurmountable. And any dealings with them, I'm like, fuck those guys. Like, just don't like it. The more you can separate yourself from those entities and get out from under their boot, the better off you are. And I just feel like it's dangerous, like having these deals with the devil. And it's like better to just, it's better to build slower, but in a sustainable way, than to obtain these, again, like deals with the devil that you're going to have to pay back in some way later. And you may be able to pull a Saylor on a state level and do that. But if you can't, or if the markets turn out of your favor, then, you know, you're under their boot yet again. So, I hope it turns out fine. I would love nothing more than Bukele to get that check cut and then like just go shopping for sats the moment it lands. That would be absolutely poetic. And it was like his final fuck you to the IMF. It would be just chef's kiss. I don't think that's going to happen, but like, hey, we can cross our fingers and help. Healthy amount of skepticism for any dealings with the IMF. But it also doesn't sound to me like, you know, Bitcoin is done in El Salvador. It's just, they were looking for some type of a win so that they could trumpet out a few headlines that are a little sensational. It's what it sounds like.
100%. Like it's like this, like this victory, like this fake victory and whatnot. And what I'll say too is like, you know, they posture as if they're this like this so powerful institution. It's the IMF and this and that. And here they are clearly showing that they're scared of the Bitcoin experiment in El Salvador. Guys, just to give you guys a perspective, okay? El Salvador's GDP is 32 billion. Elon Musk's net worth is 250 billion, right? Just to kind of give you an idea of the size of the economy of El Salvador. And you have the IMF like essentially freaking out about this Bitcoin experiment. And I think that should tell you everything you need to know about our movement and about the fact that we're winning. And I think they're scared. So, yeah. But anyways, dude, great time like always. I'll see you tomorrow. Super, super excited for the Christmas special, and see you guys later. Peace out, Ben.
Oh yeah, later, man. I'll see you tomorrow. And everybody else, please do stick around. We're going to be giving away some sats in just a moment, so Don't go anywhere. And we're going to be hitting up the tech updates. What's the latest and greatest? What's been going on? What should you be checking out? So we'll cover all that when we're back in just a moment. But until then, we're just going to give a quick shout out to sponsors of this show, and then we'll be right back in. So we'll see you guys in just a moment. Speed is one of the fastest growing Bitcoin Lightning wallets out there. It is a fast and secure way to send and receive Bitcoin and stablecoin payments instantly. You can even swap between Bitcoin and stablecoins directly in the app. Also in the app, you can buy gift cards for all the best brands and earn rewards in the process. To download Speed, simply scan the QR code on the screen, click the links in the show notes down below, and use code BTC Sessions 10 to get 5,000 sats for free. Debify.com allows you to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Collateral is held in a 3 of 4 distributed multi-sig with trusted parties. It provides institutional liquidity providers, loan periods of up to 5 years with flexible conditions and the best rates. And best of all, no rehypothecation of your funds. If you want to check them out today, head over to debify.com or hit the link in the show notes down below. All right, we are back in. Let's give away some sats here. So let me just grab my screen. There we go. We got Bitcoin Well up on the screen here. Great place. In fact, the best place to be stacking sats in Canada and the US. And the cool thing about Bitcoin Well is that when you do sign up, you earn points. When you purchase Bitcoin, you earn points. When you refer friends, you earn points. And those points can be used to toss a coin into the Bitcoin wishing well. And every time you do so, you win the chance to win up to anywhere between 500 and a million sats. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. So get your Lightning wallets ready. First person to scan this QR code with their Lightning wallet will win whatever the prize is. So we'll toss that in the well. And if you do win, let us know. 2,100 sats. Congrats to whoever snags that first. So give it a scan. It should give you the option to redeem it in your Lightning wallet. And if it doesn't work, then somebody has already snagged it. If you do win, let us know in the comments. Always love to hear from the people that end up sniping the sats first. And now that is not the only way, of course, that you can be stacking sats. I will put Bitcoin Well's little QR code up on the screen off to the right-hand side as well. If you want to sign up there, if you're not already on, check them out, and you can get stacking sats with them today. But that's not the only way to be stacking sats this bull run. Of course, I'm over at Bitcoin Mentor, and this is my excellent team of educators, and they can do one-on-ones with yourself or friends and family to help people through self-custody, wallets, hardware, multi-sig, running a node, whatever it may be. Our team can help you through it with one-on-one video calls. Now, of course, you may be wondering, how do I earn Bitcoin through that? Well, that would be if you want to become an affiliate. So the QR code on the screen right now, if you give that a scan, it will allow you to create your own personalized link. And through that program, I would recommend just stick it in your social media profile, share it on socials, whatever you may do, but somewhere that people can find it very easily. And then you can just sit back and passively earn sats. The way it works is every time somebody goes through your link and books a one-on-one session with us, you earn $21 to be paid out at the end of the month in Bitcoin. And that's not just for their first session, it's for every single session that they book with us from then on in perpetuity moving forward. So if they book 10 sessions, there's $210 in Bitcoin sent to you. So scan that QR code, sign up today, and earn. You can stack sats while new Bitcoiners stack skills. But enough of my rambling here. Let's get into some of the updates. I won't call them all tech updates because I wanted to give a shout out to the Human Rights Foundation. They've just granted 7 Bitcoin to 20 different Bitcoin projects. I've got to say, the HRF's Bitcoin Development Fund is just such a godsend to so many Bitcoin developers that are building excellent tools. They're just slinging sats everywhere to make sure the tools that human rights defenders need are getting built and then the developers can fund their operations. So what was funded here? Stratum v2 reference implementation, public pool, Neoma. This is a Bitcoin Core developer, Daniel Brazzoni. He's a software developer, previously contributed to Bitcoin Development Kit. Michael Haas, I think is how you say it, working on redesign Bitcoin's cores, UX and UI. No bullshit Bitcoin, the very thing where I'm reading this right now, got a grant. That's super awesome. Tando, co-founded by Sabina Gitau, enables 54 million Kenyans to use Bitcoin for everyday transactions. Yakihone, this is a Nostr protocol client by Wendy Ding. Seed Signer, multi-language support. Vexel, which is like a peer-to-peer marketplace for Bitcoin in various locations around the globe. Tomatech, an Indian community advancing Bitcoin infrastructure and FOSS projects. Crux, an open source software that transforms generic devices into hardware wallets. Iris, which is a Nostr web client. African UX Bitcoin Bootcamp. Bitcoin History Research Project by Pete Rizzo. Pete Rizzo, rather. Cashew TS, developed by Gandalf 21. Unify, which is a pay-join wallet. The Financial Freedom Policy Coalition. John Attack, who's a Bitcoin Core contributor. And Brink from Mike Schmidt, which is super awesome. So congrats to all of the grant recipients, and hats off to the HRF for their continued work in that realm. Moving on, Alby Hub version 1.12.0, improved relay connectivity and more. So the new features here, you can pay zero amount invoices. You can migrate to VSS. You can you have Fire Channel open and closure events in LND. You improve the Alby account connection card, and you have they've added environment variable to customize LDK listening addresses. And on top of that, there's a bunch of bug fixes and miscellaneous. So always good to see. Alby Hub, if you're unsure, this is just like if you're self-hosting your own Lightning node, it just makes everything so smooth, easy to connect. You get your own Lightning address, all of that, but you can host it on your own infrastructure or you can do it in the cloud. Super awesome. Love Alby Hub. Moving on. Foundation announces Passport Prime personal security platform. Okay, so there was this announcement the other day. I'm going to kind of just go through a few of the things that I thought were good, a few of the things that give me some pause, and I'm going to try and be pretty diplomatic about it. But I saw the chat going as there was an announcement, and there was some concerns from people about like direction. But okay, let's chat. So fully open source. The device is, again, Bitcoin. It obviously has support for a lot of different Bitcoin wallets and interfaces. They have their own dedicated app as well. It's the third generation device. It will run something called KeyOS and feature a third-party app store. It includes apps such as two-factor authenticator, a security keep app for multi-factor authentication, Seed Vault for organizing seed phrases. Additionally, it targets encrypted flash drives with 50 gigabytes of memory for storing sensitive files, secured by a feature airlock. Okay, some of the other things that they mentioned, and there's a lot here. You can watch the full keynote, but let's just look at some of the key features. Again, KeyOS, mobile-centric experience, NFC for easy and quick backups, third-party apps and developer ecosystem, simplified onboarding, premium design, and it's $300. Okay. So the things that I think are good. NFC, awesome. Glad to see NFC added in. That is a very convenient feature. I really, really quite like that. The device itself looks nice, robust. The previous devices have been, they've got some weight to them in the hand. They feel like they're pretty good. I was actually the Passport 2 versus the Passport 1. I actually kind of preferred the feel of the buttons on the Passport 1, but obviously with this one they've just gone touchscreen, which is all good. Now, Key OS, I don't have like an opinion on it either way. The two-factor authentication and secure notes, I would say that I don't know that I would necessarily use it for that, but maybe. But I don't also have any opposition to anything like that. Now, when it comes to the open source app store, where Foundation can't prevent people from creating apps and putting them in the store and all that kind of stuff, this I have some questions on. So now they addressed in the presentation, they said that like the Bitcoin and the key related stuff is like completely segregated from anything, and the apps I think are segregated from interacting with each other. So like you wouldn't, my understanding is you wouldn't be able to download an app and then that app just like infects your device and like pulls information. Okay, fair enough. They also said though that anybody can create an app. My main worry with the App Store, and the question would be how much curation is happening here. The presentation sounded like we can't prevent people from making apps, which like in ethos, I understand like why that would be an ethos to go with. But at the same time, I have a little bit of worry in and around that. I will have to see how it plays out. But my main worry is, let's say you get a new person coming in, they get a device and they're perusing through the App Store and they see something that's like, I don't know, like your vault solidifier or something that sounds like, oh, it's going to make it more robust. And even if that app is segregated and not able to interact with other apps, there's a possibility that the app could be a malicious, like phishing type app that gives you instructions to execute that says you're doing one thing, but in practice is actually you giving up some type of credential or sending a transaction somewhere you don't mean to, or like a newcomer can be fooled by that if they have an official looking app that they upload to a device that they feel is their like source of security. So that's where my reservations primarily lie. I saw that Bluetooth was added. I'm not as much a fan of Bluetooth. Again, you've got like I know that's encrypted communication back and forth, but that's Bluetooth isn't necessarily for me. And yeah, and then the other thing, and again, this is because there's third-party apps and anybody can make anything. That also means that you can have support for non-Bitcoin assets. Now, I know that some of the former members of the team were very, very privacy focused, and that's all good. And I also understand like why somebody who's super, super privacy focused would lean towards something like Monero. I understand, but I also think that Monero makes major trade-offs, which is why I don't personally look at Monero really. But even in understanding all of that, there's also explicit talk of Ethereum and Solana support. And I think, again, through third-party stuff there, but like as, again, when it's been marketed explicitly towards Bitcoin only for the two previous models, and then this seems like a pivot as we go into a bull run and there's money to be made like in and around supporting other things. I don't know. That I'll leave it there. I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I can. So those are my general thoughts. You guys let me know in the chat there. But I don't know that this device is being marketed to me necessarily. Anyways, so I'll leave it there. Let's continue on. I will say Debify just added support for the Cold Card Q, which is awesome. Glad to see. So they're doing NFC. If you see my Debify video before, I was using the Cold Card Mark IV, but pretty awesome to see that. So glad and that was just what, two days ago. So awesome. So good. Again, more people supporting the queue. Good to see. I also just dropped a tutorial on Keeper. And I've done a previous video on Keeper, just using it in a self-sovereign way, loading in keys, creating multi-sig vaults, all of that kind of stuff. This one is centered in and around their inheritance key system, and they're using Miniscript, which gives you greater granularity in the realm of multi-sig. So things like deprecating keys or adding keys after certain thresholds. And so kind of cool what's happening there. In that, so in the instance that I outlined here, you can have an inheritance key that is not currently active that will become capable of signing transactions at a certain threshold down the line, like a year and a half, 2 years, whatever. And so you bestow that upon the recipient of the inheritance, and then have a way to get them a second key when the time through an executor or whatever. And so what ends up happening is, with the key at the time, they can't really do anything. But then when the threshold passes, if you haven't bumped it forward, then they have access to the funds. So anyways, take a peek. I think it's kind of cool. Yeah, you can walk through and kind of learn how to use that within Keeper. In this example, I used all tap signers. That's currently the easiest way to do it with Miniscript, but there will be support for Cold Card Q and whatever other hardware devices decide to add Miniscript functionality. This is just a completely personal one that I thought I would share, but I enjoyed it. Elf on a Shelf is currently at our house, and he visited my kids last night, and he brought along a few things. And this is the letter that Elf left to my daughter. Dear Arya, last night your friend Yellow taught me how to use Bitcoin. Grab your iPad, open your wallet, and scan the code. I put 5,000 sats on it for you. P.S. When your brother's older, you can teach him how to use Bitcoin too. Lots of love, Sprinkle. That's the name of her elf. And so there you can see see our elf Sprinkle beside a copy of the Bitcoin Standard, beside a couple of Lena's little hodlers, and of course Yellow holding a tap signer, the elf holding a cold card, and all of the goodies that he left. Some stickers, some Genesis packs from BTC trading cards. What a generous little fellow that guy is. Glad that he could swing by. And there's me in the morning helping my daughter figure out how to redeem Speed Wallet, by the way. Thanks for the, they allow easy ways of creating redeemable QR codes. And I can see that's from Speed. So Sprinkle was doing some learning last night with Yellow, and my daughter was very happy to get her 5,000 sats. And in the realm of other personal things that have been going on, we had our sat market here in Calgary just this past weekend, and it was awesome. So awesome. If you're unfamiliar, again, we put together a local circular market with all the Bitcoiners here. And we had a record number of vendors this time. We had 40 vendors. We rented out a venue. We had all kinds of different stuff there, and it was fantastic. We also did a little excursion out to the Canadian Rockies, which is only an hour away. Went for some hikes, had some brunch, had a dinner, all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. Really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll show some of the pictures here, but we just had, it was family friendly. There were kids all over running around. Lots of different types of merchants. We did incredible giveaways. Here, listen to some of the stuff we gave away. Custom art pieces, apparel, artisan tea, hypnosis sessions, a free hour with Bitcoin Mentor, jewelry pieces. We gave away 20 tap signers, 30 packs of Bitcoin trading cards, the Genesis packs, 14 cold card queues, and a 10-ounce bar of silver. We gave away over $6,000 worth of stuff in the raffles that we did at the end of the market. It was wild. And again, we had so many great merchants there. And just, if you can see from the pictures here, it was just an all-around great time. So many awesome people coming together. I am so bullish on the community that we have here. And if you haven't already, for the next one, come up to Calgary. You got to get here. You got to see what's going on. It's so awesome. I love this so much. So our next SAT market is happening near the end of June. So a little bit of a different setting. It won't be so cold then, although the winter Winter in the mountains is beautiful, but come out and come check out the sat market. We'll be dropping more info soon. If you do want to come visit us, then I encourage you to head over to, and I'll get the QR code up on the screen here. This is our website for the sat market. It's bitcoinsatmarket.com, but there's a QR code you can scan. Just come up and visit. We'd love to see you, but bookmark that and follow us on socials. It's at the bottom of the website page. Anyways, excited for that. It was awesome. And finally, oh my Lord, look at what is coming tomorrow. The day is almost upon us for the 4th annual BTC Sessions Christmas holiday special of 2024. The guest list is absolutely insane. Just picking out some people on the poster here that you can see. But we've got Jeff Booth, Larry Lepard, Mike Germano, Alex Gladstein. We've got Preston Pish, Dom Bay, Tatum Turnup, Katie the Russian. We've got Nico, of course. We've got Madex. We've got Parker Lewis, Peter St. Ange. Who's back here? Who am I missing? Matt Cratter's back there. Harry Suddock, American Hoddle. It's stacked. It is stacked. The way it works, there's 30-minute segments with panels of 3 guests and myself. And they just rotate, and it's going to be an absolute marathon. We've got 8 panels and then an after party. Wild. So it's going to be a hell of a time. Now, when is this starting? It's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. And it's going to be wild. It's so fun. This is my favorite Christmas tradition now when it comes to hanging out with all my other Bitcoiners. And this will be no exception. Also, the feeling of getting out of like a 6 or 7 hour stream and knowing like, okay, I get to relax a little bit for a few days and enjoy Christmas. That's a nice feeling too. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. It's going to be a big day. I've still got lots of prep to do tonight. So, and we are also doing tons of giveaways. You better tune in for them. You better be ready because it's gonna be a hell of a time. So with that, I'm going to Nico who just the guy that was on the stream earlier. So, but it should be a good time. So, anyways, I'm gonna stop ranting there. But I can't believe it's already here, December 20th tomorrow. That's wild. Anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Of course, if you can, like, subscribe, share, all those things, they help a ton. Share the show for tomorrow as well. That's going to be awesome. And you can also hit up the previously mentioned sponsors. They're in the show notes down below. And the QR code that is on the screen over here, that is to become an affiliate of Bitcoin Mentor. And you can earn some sats over the course of the bull run. Just point people, if you're too tired or don't have the skill set or whatever it may be, and you want somebody to take over for you and teach Bitcoin self-custody the right way, you can scan that, become an affiliate, share out your link, and send people our way. We'll take care of them, and you'll earn some sats in the process. Anyways, with that, I am out. Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening, wherever you may be, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for the BTC Sessions Christmas Holiday Special 2024. Have a great evening. See you guys later.
Hodl the Bitcoin.